Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Well, happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. And gosh, the weather looks pretty nice out there, doesn't it? Ooh. Well, good morning, good afternoon, hello, wherever you are in the world. Good afternoon, Ukraine. Natalia and friends, I hope you're doing well. Things look like they're moving in the right direction. Hang in there. I know that the world is supporting you as always, and I always want to give you words of encouragement in our little piece of the world, so hang in there. Hey, for those of you that are watching us live right now, good morning, and we know that we're broadcasting throughout the world, and if you are watching us later in the week, at 2 and 8 on Access Chautauqua, Spectrum 1301, thanks for joining us. Also, good afternoon to all my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown. Thanks for checking in. We got a really interesting show, and it's sort of a connection to last week's show. Last week we talked about Lieutenant Colonel George Custer and the Little Bighorn battle. Well, I know this seems hard to believe, but we're going to have Custer's commander-in-chief here today with his wife. Okay, there's my little teaser for the morning, and it's like 2 historical shows in a row. So we're excited for you to participate and watch. And I say participate because you can call in and talk to the commander-in-chief of those days at 716-753-5225, and we'll be happy to have a little chat with you. On the other hand, if you have an announcement, something you want to share with your club or organization, a fundraiser, a chicken barbecue, whatever it is, you can call us now, or you can email us at chautauquasunrise@gmail.com, and we will get your announcements on next week. And as you know, I have a list of different things here that we try to share, because that's what we do here. We share information about Chautauqua County and all the cool things that are going on every single week. And with that being said, I just want to give you a quick note is that Chautauqua County right now is alive. I mean, there's things going on almost everywhere throughout the area. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Westfield, but the farmers market is going on right now. And then we have over one of my underwriters at Meters Restaurant in Ripley, they're having a bluegrass festival and chicken barbecue, and it's a fundraiser kind of a sort of a thing. And that's running from 10 to 6. We'll talk more about the other Westfield activities here shortly, but that's going on all day today and was going on yesterday too. And I have a special note here that somebody that's very special to our program here is Linda Spalding. I had the anniversary of her birthday yesterday. I think it's like her, 20th anniversary of her 20th birthday or something like that. Anyways, happy birthday, Linda, and she calls in quite often, and she and her husband have been huge supporters and founders of this entire studio over the years. It's 25 years and plus now, and so, Linda, I hope you had a special day yesterday and the weekend as well, and maybe you'll call in. Hope you all are hanging in there with the pollen. We talked about that last week. We can just about shovel it here in Chautauqua County, but then our friends in Canada decide to share their smoke with us, and now we have pollen and smoke, and I've been coughing up little hamsters every couple days here, but we're getting through it. And on the way over here, I was thinking about it. We talk about international cooperation and things like that. When these situations happen, the pandemic, smoke, whatever, there are no boundaries, there are no walls. And that's why I think we all have to be very careful what we do in our own countries, in our own backyards, because we're sharing everything, whether it's the good or the bad. So anyways, I hope things are well in Canada and they're getting under control, and that we're all dealing with this crazy smoke that we're inheriting. But I think it's supposed to get better, especially with some rain finally. I know people don't want it to rain on the weekend, and I know today's gonna be a nice day. Tomorrow, not so good. But at my house, I don't know, Justin, how about your place? It's pretty dry. The ground is really big cracks in it. And we need rain, and I hope this isn't going to be a portent of the future for this summer, because it's dry and the grasses are turning brown already. I digress. Let's see. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover real quick. So let's get to some morning announcements, because my guests are anxiously waiting to get on. So let's see what we got. Did you know that June is Dairy Month? Bet you didn't know that. Celebrate by enjoying deliciousness of dairy products. Southwestern New York is an exciting time as it marks the arrival of summer, but it's also Dairy Month. There's nothing better than finding a noble excuse to enjoy delicious food. This annual celebration started in 1937 and continues as a way to pay homage to the remarkable contributions of the dairy industry to our economy, culinary delights, and the community. June is the perfect time to celebrate all of these things as they impact our lives in different ways you can show your appreciation. So this is from the Cornell Cooperative Extension. They're just letting you know that you'll see the Dairy Queen, I believe. She's in the parade right on the 4th of July. I think we always see her. We cover that. Oh, here's a little plug. The Mayville Parade, we're going to be covering that. The crew and myself, Rick Miscaro, will be co-hosting with me. We'll be covering that parade again this year. So anyways, think about chocolate milk, cheeses, butter, ice cream, and all those sorts of things. And that comes right here, Chautauqua County. Lots of dairy farms. All right, let's keep on moving. Dazed and Confused. This was a movie that was based on my life. It's going to be held at the Reg Linnaeus Center for the Arts from 1976 in America. The last day of school. Bongs, blaze, bell bottoms. Say that 10 times fast. Bongs, blaze, and bell bottoms ring and rock and roll rocks. Among the best teen films ever made, Dazed and Confused will be shown June 14th at 7 p.m. Eavesdrop on a group of seniors to be and incoming freshmen. Sidestepping nostalgia, Dazed and Confused is less about the best years of our lives from the boredom, angst, and excitement of teenagers waiting for something to happen. It's 95 minutes long and it's rated R. Dazed and Confused, 1976. I'm trying to think how old I was. I was teaching and I was a parent by that point. Okay, upcoming movies at the Reg include the movie adaptation of Judy Blume, Coming of Age. Classic, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This is going to be held on June 21 at 7 o'clock. Julia Louis Dreyfus in the comedy You Hurt My Feelings on June 28th at 7. Diane Keating and Jane Fonda in the romantic comedy Book Club. The Next Chapter, June 30, and so forth. Most movies are $7. Some family ones are $6. If you're interested, give them a call at 484-7070. All right. Then we have a thing. Oh, where did this come from? Okay, this is from my friend Jim Kurtz. I know you watch every week, so let's move on, Jeff. We're looking for Purple Heart recipients, okay? And this is from the Chautauqua Hometown Heroes Veterans Memorial, just down the road from here. All right, we're looking for folks that have Purple Hearts from the Korean War, Vietnam War, Gulf War, War on Terror. And give Jim a call at 753-7734 for questions. So again, 753-7734, or you can email him, James Kurtz. So it's James, all one word, V, Kurtz, K-U-R-T-Z. So James K. Kurtz at gmail.com, and Jim will talk with you about getting that information into their memorial there, okay? Then, let's go on to the next one. Free parenting discussion group at the Mental Health Association over at 31 Water Street in Jamestown, okay? There's a whole bunch of stuff there, but we pop these things up from time to time because many people take part of these things. So there's only 3 remaining sessions. June 15th, developing good bedtime routines. Nothing like chasing cats at night, right? Get to bed. I want a drink of water. No, go to bed. Can I stay up? No. June 22nd, hassle-free shopping. Oh my gosh. Ever go to the supermarket or go to Walmart or wherever and the kid's laying on the floor screaming, I've got to have that toy. What do you do about that? They're offering some suggestions on this. June 29th, fighting and aggression. Kids don't fight among themselves, do they? These are free series with the Mental Health Association. And if you're interested, give Tracy a call at 716-203-1609. And you might find some tricks of the trade of dealing with your children. And trust me, we all could use an extra little tip now and then. All right, moving along. Oh, I see, I jumped to that page, didn't I? June 14th is the opening day for the Dunkirk Farmers Market. All right, that's coming up this week. Wednesday, farmers market season starts, and it's going to be every Wednesday through October 11th from 9 to 2 p.m. So you got one in Mayville, you have Westfield, Dunkirk, Jamestown has one. So these are really popping up everywhere. What a great opportunity to get fresh produce right here from Chautauqua County. All right, so Roberto Fred Farms and Richard Finan Farms will return to the market weekly in 2023. They offer a wide variety of vegetables, fruit, herbs, preserves, honey, and vegetable plants. The market will be adding some new vendors this season, which includes the return of a meat vendor. Okay, that's Coughlin Family Farms will be on hand to provide a wonderful assortment of beef, pork, eggs, and select dairy products, and so forth. All kinds of stuff. It's so long I can't even begin to tell you all the things, but check out these markets. They're cool, and the prices are usually very, very good. You want more information? 366-9876. 366-3876, and that's the opening day for Farmers Market in Dunkirk. All right, where am I supposed to go next here? Hang on, I'll get to it, I guess. Okay. Ooh, I had these all in backward order, didn't I? All right, Hanover Beach Bash, June 15th. That's coming up. The Hanover Community Chamber of Commerce Committee is hosting a summer kickoff bash at the beach. Thursday, June 15th, I said that, at the Sunset Bay Beach Club in Irving. Enjoy live music by Two Towns. Food, beverages, door prizes, and a chance for a basket raffle from 5 to 7 p.m. The whole community is invited. The price is only $12 for chamber members or $15 for the general public, and your ticket includes first drink free. Tickets are available at Dave's Outlet Store in Silver Creek, Hey Jude Custom Signs in Silver Creek, or Tavern on the Mall in Forestville. Or you can register through the Chamber's online calendar at Chautauqua Chamber, all one word, .org. Okay, so that's coming up. Hanover Beach Bash. And I got one more. I don't think I missed anything. Coming up today, okay, there's going to be an activity in Westfield all day long. From 10:30 to 2:30 is going to be horse-drawn carriage rides, which are free, starting at Easton Hall, so 10:30 to 2:30. From 10:30 to 2, the Lincolns. Who are they? Farmers and Artisans Market. They're going to be at Standing Ground, the 9th New York Cavalry Civil War Reenactors Campsite, a living history event right in Moore Park, and also at Lincoln Bedell Park. From 11:30, there's that photo opportunity with the Lincolns at Patterson Library. At 1 o'clock, Civil War singers present a concert in the gazebo at Moore Park featuring Lincoln's favorite songs from the Civil War era. It's free of charge. I'm really bummed. If I would have known this next one, I would have done something about it. The best beard contest told me. I would have grown that thing right out. My son Justin, he can grow it. What? I still can. This'll do. Oh. Blue June Blossoms Floral Shop over on Main Street. Lincoln to judge best beard, most Lincoln-like beard, most decorated beard, longest beard, wispiest whiskers, and more. There's prizes, and so that's going to be at starting at 1:30 to 2 o'clock. Best beard contest at between 12 and 4 over at the Station Art Gallery and Studio right there in Westfield on English Street. It's open to visitors, showcasing the works of nationally known award-winning artist Catherine Brown Galbraith. She's from Ripley, by the way, featuring her painting, The Faces of Chautauqua collection, of which my father-in-law is part of, Bill Molson. He's in there. 3:30, Abe Lincoln meets Grace Bedell once again at the Westfield train station. Westfield's claim to fame as Lincoln meets his Little Westfield correspondent once again, and the Civil War singers perform. From 6 to 8, big deal here. Lincoln's to attend the McClurg Museum Annual Gala and 200th birthday celebration. Tickets are available at the door. I believe they're $50. Okay. This is really cool. I've performed at this a few times over the years. It's a great time. And I guess if you still want to know more information, give my friend Marilyn Hemmer a call at 753-6043. That's it for announcements. We're going to be right back. Stay tuned. I'm telling you, this is going to be cool for you.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
As I mentioned earlier in the show, we sort of have a little bit of a connection between last week's show and this week's show. And I'll say it's from a historical point of view. I want to right now welcome to the show the 16th President of the United States, President Abraham Lincoln, and the First Lady, Mary Todd Lincoln. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you? You enjoying the Western New York weather?
I am living the dream.
Living the dream. Okay, Mr. President, last year you were here, and we had a wonderful time, and I hope that was a memorable experience, sharing some of your family history and some things that happened as president. And you brought your wife this time.
I did.
And we missed you last time. I guess you were watching on the other end, but
She was taking care of the youngins.
Oh, okay. So there's and the youngins they have, and then you're going to be over in Westfield.
Correct.
It's been about 162 years you were here the first time, and now you're back again. And you're going to be meeting with all kinds of folks, and I know that people really, really enjoy meeting both of you out throughout the United States. And do you ever get out of the country and visit?
Not yet.
Not yet. So
not as me.
All right, not as you. Okay, okay. And today you had a busy day, and you had a busy day yesterday too, right in Westfield, going with the kids at school and so forth. So. Well, we're glad that you're here. And also, I had the pleasure to perform for you folks. Well, that was pre-pandemic, I think, because I don't remember wearing a mask. And that's got to be, 4 years ago, maybe? And I remember, as I told you yesterday, playing Galway Girl, which is one of your favorite songs. And And I have a fond memory of that experience, and that was really nice. So, Mr. President, today we're going to be talking about a specific time frame that you want to recollect and share with my viewers. But before we do that, I want to go back a little bit in time before 1861, and I want to go back maybe to 1859, 1858, somewhere in there, and talk a little bit about how did you get to the point of 1861 in Springfield, where we're going to really concentrate, but what led up to that? Where were you born? Why did you get to where you were get? And how in the world does a kid that's not part of the Washington, the Northeast elite politician group get elected president? How did that all work?
Well, I came from Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
which most people think I came from Illinois.
That is
but,
true, yeah.
Illinois is where I learned my political and experience.
Mm-hmm.
But northern Kentucky, in a town just outside of Hodgenville, Elizabethtown.
Oh yeah, I've stayed in Elizabethtown, believe it or not. I have.
Yeah.
I know that area.
I think they even have a street light in there.
Okay.
And
Excuse me.
stayed there for about 7 years.
Mhm.
And then our family moved up to the boyhood state, which is Indiana,
Okay.
of course. And currently now I think they call it Santa Claus.
Oh
Indiana.
yeah.
So some people go there.
Yeah.
And stayed there until I was an adult at 21 years old. And then from there we moved to Illinois, where I helped my folks build a log cabin, and I split rails and made fences.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed there for a little bit, and then I went off on my own to a big city, and that city is New Salem, Illinois.
New Salem.
Had 100 people,
Woo!
almost 100 people there.
Well, it was really in the early years of the frontier. I mean, that's still frontierish, right?
Everywhere you went and you wanted to settle, you had to chop down some trees and clear some land.
You know, I'm the town historian in Ripley. I mention that from time to time, and that wasn't so different in Westfield, Ripley, Portland. They had to do the exact same thing. There was nothing here, and in 1804, 10, in that era, they did the exact same thing. They knocked down the trees, they built these log-type houses, and so forth. But you know, I have a question, Mr. President. I don't know if I asked you this last time. Did you have brothers and sisters? I don't even know that.
I do. I am the second of three.
Okay.
The oldest is Sarah. She was 2 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came, as you know,
Mhm.
born in 1809,
Okay.
about 7 years after the city of Westfield was created.
That's right.
And then shortly after that, we had our third sibling,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't last too long.
Oh.
And I was so young that I really don't remember if it was a few months or whatever,
Mhm.
but his name was Thomas, named after my father.
Okay, and you know, again, people don't realize that it was very common in those days that sometimes children didn't live very long for a variety of reasons because they didn't have the modern medicines, especially on the frontier, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you were in New Salem, but you had been working with your father splitting rails. So how did you get into being a lawyer and all that sort of thing? I mean, you didn't go to school per se, right?
I have a total of 1 year schooling because, like many of the young kids,
Mm-hmm.
you would plant in the springtime, and then the summer was too hot to go to school, so your crops were growing, and then you would harvest it in the fall. So basically, your time to go to school in those little one-room schoolhouses was typically in the winter.
Yeah.
So,
Non-farming time.
I'm no different than any other
Mm-hmm.
young boy. We would go up a hill 5 miles, knee-deep snow,
Of course you did.
and then come back down.
Right.
So about 1 year. But
About a year.
most of my mother
Mhm.
and my stepmother very much encouraged me to read.
Okay. And some folks are self-learners, and it's obviously that. So in New Salem, what did you do then? What were you doing in New Salem?
Well, I needed a place to stay, and I first found a general store, and it was owned by a man named Barry. His last name was Barry. I believe it's still there, called the Lincoln Berry place. He was ready to retire, and he did me a favor, as I thought at the time, and he gave me the store. Well, shortly after he left and he gave me the store, I found out that we were in debt a lot.
Oh my gosh.
So most people might have tried to claim bankruptcy or file for bankruptcy, but I fully intended to pay off that debt. I can't remember how much. It was a few $1,000s.
In those days, that's a lot of money.
Big money there.
Yeah.
Yes. So we paid off all our debts, and one of the other jobs that I liked was being Postmaster General. I got to read all the newspapers before the people picked it up, and I would hand out the letters and did a little surveying. I had some equipment that I bought, and
Now, it's my understanding that a Postmaster General has to be approved by the government, right? I mean, federal government.
I believe you are correct.
And so you already were kind of getting involved with governmental type things. it
I
looks
was
like.
interested. I was getting interested because my father taught me how to work. Didn't teach me how to like it. So I prefer book learning to manual labor.
Yes, I understand it very well. You know, my brother and I growing up together, we were only 11 months apart, and he was very much a hands-on person. I was very much the book guy. And then over the years, we've crisscrossed. He went back to school, got degrees in college, and I've been learning tools and, you know, other kinds of things. So we kind of met in the middle. So I get that. So you must have found somebody that was very attracted to you, and
Well-
you got married at some point. When was that?
That was later in my age.
All right, so we're not
After-
there. We're not there yet.
We're not there. I did meet a young lady who fell.
Now, careful, she's listening.
Well, this was before Mary,
Okay.
but there was another Mary before Mary.
It was
But
a Mary
first
before
was
Mary.
Ann Rutledge.
All right.
Her father owned a tavern, little place to room, and was quite smitten by her, and we casually would take walks and eventually got interested in each other.
Got a little serious there.
But unfortunately, she was 20, about 22, and she had typhoid fever and died. That was my second biggest heartache after my mother.
Yeah, yeah.
So after that, I made the decision to go into Springfield because I had studied a little bit of law. I received Blackstone's law book in a barrel from somebody after doing them a favor. So I read the book.
You read a book to become a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not the only one.
Okay. I
Our
believe you.
seventh president, Andrew Jackson, did the same thing.
All right.
In fact, we're the only two presidents that haven't gone to college to become lawyers.
How does that work? Did you have to take a test?
You take a test, you study hard, you pray to the Almighty, and hope you pass.
Okay. So you're reading one book on law?
Yeah, I would read anything I could find.
Okay, so a collection of law books. And then where did you take the test? I mean, did you
Well,
wait there?
in New Salem,
Oh, okay.
you know, you learn as a lawyer, you need two. You need a prosecuting and a defending one.
Right.
Well, I was the only one, so I didn't have too many cases there. So I moved up to Springfield.
Okay.
And during the process, I did have a little bit of time in the state legislation for the state of Illinois.
So you were elected to that?
Yes.
Okay.
I did win some elections in my young days. And our main goal was to move the capital from Vandalia to Springfield
Okay.
because I was very interested in commerce and roads and improving it. So I figured the capital, we move it to centrally, a little more centrally located,
Makes
it would
sense.
serve the state better. So then I had a couple apprenticeships with some lawyers, and they helped me out.
Okay.
And the most famous one is Herndon, and that got me started, and I earned quite a good reputation doing it,
Okay.
and enjoyed doing that immensely, helping other people out.
Okay. So you came from basically poverty, worked your way up through, and as I mentioned earlier, you were part of what I call the New England elites of America, the original colonies in the States. So you're sort of like an outsider.
True. I was in the West, and
Yeah.
I was from a poor, grew up in a dirt floor cabin, and
It must have been difficult to have people take you serious when you don't have a college degree, you studied a book out of a barrel. You know what I mean? It's kind of an interesting story, to say the least.
very unbelievable, really. But actually, I am the first man to become president that did not come out of the 13 colonies.
There you go.
So,
Okay, so now you've been in the state legislature and you're getting kind of a name for yourself. Then what happens next?
well, my wife, Mary Todd, caught my eye
And this was in Springfield?
in Springfield.
Springfield.
She was staying with her sister, I believe it was Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I got invited for a little dance. I believe they call it a cotillion.
Cotillion, right.
Right. And she caught my eye,
Uh-huh.
and I went up to her and I asked her to dance
That's a good start.
because I wanted to dance in the worst way with her.
Did you know how to dance?
Well, that'll be determined. So I did the dance with
You
her.
did the dance.
And I sat her down, and then I heard her whisper to Elizabeth. She goes, "That Abraham Lincoln, he wanted to dance with me in the worst way." And Elizabeth says, "Well, how did he do?" "He danced in the worst way."
That's why I was wondering, because, that wasn't something you learned
Well,
out on the...
when you're 6'4"
Yeah.
and Mary's 5'2",
Yeah.
it's not the easiest thing to do.
Not
And
at all.
I have 2 left feet and very long legs, and but we carried on for a little bit, and then we were on again, off again, and then we decided to make the move, and we didn't give her sister too much time, just a day or so before we
Wow.
decided to tie the knot.
So it was a pretty quick decision there. Wow.
Well, it was always on my mind, and I think it was on hers when she was kind of had eyes, or Mr. Douglas had eyes for her too.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Mary said her goal was to marry a president to be.
Wow.
And
So how old were you both at that point?
I was probably in my early 30s.
And Mary the same?
I married a young chicken. She was
Oh.
about 12 years younger than me.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I robbed the cradle on that one.
So, Mrs. Lincoln, I know you're a bit shy for today, but where were you born? They said Kentucky?
I was. Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay. And just had one sister, or did you have, were there more?
A heap of a house full.
Yeah, we had a house. full.
Okay,
Yes,
so we don't need to worry
did.
about.
We
Did you?
did.
So were you? How do I explain this? In those days, and I don't mean this to be a negative statement, but you were raised to sew and cook and keep house and find a man and have kids. I mean, was that your role at that time in your mind?
No, it was not. We were society, high society.
Oh,
Yes.
Mr. Lincoln.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
So my dresses were ordered, a lot of them from England, and
Whoa.
yes, we were high society.
Well, then I wonder how that all worked out with it. Here you got basically a backwoods hick who's working his way through life and can't dance, and now that's an interesting combination.
I found a gold mine. I'm a very lucky
So,
man.
and
Well,
she-
what attracted me, other than her radiant beauty,
Absolutely.
was her knowledge. She could speak French fluently, and she was very much interested in politics. I mean, if it wasn't me that ran for president, I believe she could have ran for president and probably won too. So
That's something I did not know. So that is fascinating.
so that was her driving force about me becoming a president.
So now we're talking about 1840s. You got married somewhere in there.
1842.
Okay.
Then.
So this is still relatively early in your political career,
Correct.
as far as presidency and so forth. Okay.
So I had to make a living.
Yeah.
So I was part of, with 8 other lawyers, and together we were called the Long Nine. I would think that they would have called us the Tall Nine because everybody was over 6 foot.
Oh my gosh.
And as you know, the average average male was 5'8" to 5'10".
Right,
So
right.
6'4" guys,
Yeah.
traveling in a group and hanging in
According
certain.
to what I read about you guys, everybody looked up to you.
They did. I didn't have to look up
You may
to too
quote me
many
on that.
people. Yeah.
So obviously, the log cabin is now way in the background of your life. And did you buy a house, build a house? Or?
We were actually in a boarding house for
We,
For a while.
our first
Our
son
son.
came ironically 9 months after we were married,
That happens.
Robert.
Yes.
and he was named after Mary's father,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Todd, so we kept
Oh.
his name.
Yeah.
And he was actually born on 4th Street, and we lived in a little flat above a business just for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of our 3 kids the 3 other boys were born on the 8th Street house,
Okay.
which if you haven't been there is still there.
Really?
It was a story and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe we paid $1,500 for it, and that
Again, sizable amount of money for back
the
then.
only home that I ever
You
had
ever
possession. I had a title or
Uh-huh.
a deed. And while I was in Washington, doing my one term as a state legislator, we increased it to a 2-story.
Okay. So you went from a state legislator to a federal congressman?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
And what
was-
year was that?
Oh, it had to be maybe 3 years later.
Okay. All right.
1845, 1848.
Now,
in
my
that
understanding, you were I think I got this right, you were a Whig?
area. I
at that
was,
point? Okay, so that was the name of the party, right, the Whigs?
yes.
I can't remember, was there any significance why they call it the Whigs?
No, it may have had something to do with Mr. Washington and his group.
Oh, okay, the
that would
powdered
carry
wigs. and-
wigs. We
okay.
didn't have wigs. We all had hair.
You had your own hair. Okay, so at that point in time, there was a variety of different parties and so forth. I remember things of that nature. And what was happening in the country at that time? I mean, was it was expanding, and were there any major things that you were dealing with in Washington?
Well, the Whig Party dissolved in the early 50s.
Okay.
And it would split. Some went to the Democratic Party, and then we started a new party in the mid-50s called the Republican Party. And actually, the first Republican candidate to run for president was John C. Fremont, the hero of California
Okay.
during the Mexican War.
If I may interrupt right now, we have a phone call.
Oh, we do?
Yes, I've just been alerted to that. So here we go. Good morning, caller.
Hi, Doc.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How about you?
Oh, well, it's going. I'm doing security class. Everything's going pretty good.
Emerald, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Oh, well, nobody told me it was you. Emerald is part of the crew here, but she's working on a degree right now. So you're over in Cassadaga right now, right?
Yep.
So you're getting your degree in law enforcement?
Basically, I'm like becoming a security guard.
Oh, Mr. President.
I could use
you
a few of those.
Are you watching the show by any chance?
No, but like I just for the first time ever, I'm awake enough to call in and say hi.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear from you. I see a picture right now. We have Mr. President and Mrs. Lincoln here right now. Do you remember they were on the show a year ago?
Yeah, I do. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Good morning.
What's a telephone?
It's Emerald. What's a telephone? It's a speaking device that you can hear through
Oh,
wires.
okay. I
Yeah.
thought she was hidden in the walls.
No,
or
no, no,
something.
no, no. So,
Okay.
well, Em, you doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I also have my cat here as well as an emotional support animal, so she's doing good too.
Well, it's good to hear from you. Well, get on
Yeah.
Facebook and watch the rest of the show. It's really fun. Okay.
All right, I will. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks for calling. We'll keep in touch. Okay.
All right,
All
bye.
right. Bye bye. Emerald is, gosh, she was like a sophomore in high school. I think she started with us working on cameras and that, and now she's working on her degree in law enforcement. So we're really happy for her.
Good.
Okay, so, and you understand law enforcement and so forth, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Where are we? Go ahead.
Well, what I would wanted to talk about a little bit, most people in this area know that there's a young lady named Grace Bedell who had wrote me a letter.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to explain a little bit about my trip to here
Okay.
for the rest of the country that doesn't know about it. So basically, after I was elected, I had a few months before the inauguration, and I just wanted to let people know what I went through a little bit.
Absolutely.
As
So let's
best
let's
as
pin
I
a
can
year to that,
recall.
Mr. President. 1860 now?
We are talking about November of 1860. I was
Okay.
elected.
Right?
So I had some time to gather my speech for the
Mhm.
inauguration. But in the meantime, we prepared to move from here to Washington City.
And Mrs. Lincoln, that must have been quite an ordeal to pack up everything, the kids and packages and all that sort of thing.
Oh, I was so excited.
Getting out of that
That's where I
little,
wanted to go.
that hole in the ground and off to the big city. Okay.
So it was February 11th of 1861 when we were scheduled to board this train. It was called the Special, and it was about 6 cars, and they're all painted bright yellow. And I
Yellow?
would take a 1,900-mile train ride to Washington, D.C. Now, most people would think you would be very excited to take a train ride because that was like the top thing that you could do. The cars were elaborate,
Mhm.
nice fine silks and leather
Wow.
and cushions and a bed. I had a bed in there.
Sweet.
I could rest in between, but I was very fearful of
Why?
going in there because our country was falling apart. We had already lost South Carolina when I won the election, and by this time in February, we lost a few states, probably up to 7 states wanted to separate from us.
And that's called secession, right? Where they were
Well,
trying to secede?
I just call it a little conflict. I didn't
Oh, okay.
I didn't recognize that they were splitting, but
Later on,
I
down the road.
realized that they didn't want to be part of us, and I wanted to keep the Union together.
All right, so the country's in turmoil at this point when you're elected.
It's been for the last probably 20 years. but
Okay.
It really came to a head when I got elected. They feared that I was going to take all their free labor away.
Was that part of your platform?
No, I just wanted to keep them together.
So find a way.
We would figure out that I figured eventually we would be able to work out
Mm-hmm.
the slavery issue,
Right.
which many people think was the cause of the Civil War.
But really wasn't.
And in the end, it probably was.
Okay. Contributing factor anyway.
I
obviously.
needed the North support, so I couldn't come out and say that right at the beginning.
Okay. So you were carefully carving your way to the presidency at that point.
Right.
That's a lot of working across the aisle, as we say today, working with both parties and trying to, what a job. All right, so there you are, 1861.
So many of my own people in the Republican Party had doubts about me. I kind of had doubts, but I took my 3 opponents who I beat and gave them cabinet positions because I realized that they knew more than I did as far as helping me.
So who, do you remember what their names were?
Well, there was Samuel Chase.
Okay.
Well, I should know all these, shouldn't
It's
I?
been a while. But so your opponents,
Yeah.
and that's a smart move. You bring in your opponents and you work with them, and then they draw in their constituencies, and that's a way of kind of making a quilt, isn't it? Bringing all the
Someday I
parts
think
together.
there's going to be a book about it.
Mhm.
Remind me. So anyway, when I left, it was, February 11th. It was the day before my 52nd birthday,
Mhm.
and we left our hotel at 7:30, and we were given a carriage ride by a young man named Jameson Jenkins, and he was very significant to the Underground Railroad. So he gave me a ride to the airport, airport. And there wasn't
You
no
don't have, you didn't have
airport.
it then, no.
Airport was just a tunnel. But anyway, we arrived at the Great Western Railroad Station,
Mhm.
and there was tons of people there.
Oh, they're
Probably
excited.
1,000 people. I think everybody in Springfield showed up for it. And the weather was not good. It was raining. Sometimes even snowflakes were in the air.
February, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was shaking people's hands and kissing babies and hugging people, and very sad time for our family to be moving out of Springfield.
Now, my understanding, Mrs. Lincoln, she stayed behind at that point.
She did. The plan was for her and the three boys to meet me in Indianapolis or Cincinnati, depends. So
That would have been a grueling trip for you and the kids. I
It
would
would have
think.
been. The
Yeah.
children were young.
Yeah.
So she went more of a direct route. I went up and over, and
Oh, yeah, you got politic all the way. But
Yeah.
people want to know their president. They want to shake your hand in that. you
well, at that time, it was very unusual for a president-elect to kind of campaign. I wanted to get the feel of the country, so
Smart.
I went through 80 towns or something like
Wow.
that. I made about 16 stops,
Mhm.
and Westfield was the 7th stop on my trip. And I made a special trip because I wanted to meet Grace. I wanted
Right,
to
right. She
thank
wrote
her.
to you, you said.
Yeah, she told me to grow these whiskers, because do you think I look more handsome
Yes.
with the whiskers?
Definitely, definitely. Mrs. Lincoln, what do you think? I think he looks better.
Yes, Grace had a
Grace-
great idea.
So did you grow the beard before the election or afterwards? Or I don't
Well,
remember
I
this.
received a letter from her mid-October,
Mhm.
and I replied to her a few days later.
Mhm.
She wanted to know if we had any girls in the family,
Oh.
and I said, no, we just have the boys.
Mhm.
And sent that correspondence back pretty quick. And I didn't tell her I was going to meet her, but I
wow.
kind of surprised her.
Okay. Let's hold that thought because we have another phone call. Good morning,
Okay.
caller. Good morning.
Mr. and Mrs. Lincoln.
They're
What a
here.
pleasure- What a pleasure it is to see you.
And for your birthday.
Oh, thank you very much. I had my birthday.
Yes.
Yes. A big one.
They're all big these days.
Who are we listening to?
This is Linda Spalding. I'm sorry I didn't give my name. I couldn't remember if I did or not. I've been reading a lot about you, Mr. Lincoln, in history books, and I just heard something.
History?
There was a special on about Franklin D. Roosevelt, and I also read a book by Michael Beckloff that you went to a battle zone during the Civil War, and bullets were literally flying past your head.
That was correct.
You were visiting the troops.
I was at Fort Stevens,
Yeah.
near Washington City.
And the only other president in history who went to an active war zone and went into it was Franklin Roosevelt.
Huh.
And
Oh.
another
didn't know
interesting
that.
thing is, I understand it's recorded your date of death was April 15th, 1865.
We're not going to talk about that today.
Okay, but no, this is the interesting thing. Franklin Delano Roosevelt died April 15th, 1945.
Wow.
And the Titanic sunk on April 15th.
Well, aren't you cheery?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
must-
No,
She can see the future.
No, really, but that's history. Numerology is very interesting in history.
Do you have a crystal ball? Because I would like to get one.
Well, you know, I do have talents. I do have a gift. Nostradamus isn't the only one
Yes.
that tells the future.
So you're telling Mr. President here things that happen later on in his after his life.
Right,
Well,
right.
I've always had a.
I find that very fascinating.
Okay.
Those two presidents, you, Mr. Lincoln, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
He came in later
They're
after
in
you,
the
years
future.
later.
You haven't met him. You know,
Right.
you'll see about him in heaven. But that's very interesting. Not a lot of presidents hide in bunkers these days.
Yeah.
So congratulations, and thank you for your courage, and what a wonderful person you are. You're a credit. to
Well,
humanity.
thank you very much. You
Yeah.
know, I've had many premonitions about dying, but I didn't know the exact date, and I hope I can
Yeah.
erase it.
Yeah.
Bunker.
I understand that that you pace across the front of the White House about premonitions of death. Is that true?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
You said what's that?
I understand that you pace in the White House during
paced.
the night about premonitions of death.
Kept you up at night.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Well, you were a very brave man. You stood out against a lot of people who were in opposition to your ethics and beliefs.
Well, thank you.
Well, there's one vote.
There's one vote.
Well, thanks, Linda. I hope you had a great weekend for your birthday, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks
Have a
for calling.
wonderful weekend.
Okay.
And I hope I see you today in Westfield.
You'll be there,
I will be there.
and Mrs. Lincoln as well.
Yes.
So
Yes,
be sure to
thank
come up
you.
and introduce yourself, Linda.
All right, I hope Grace Fidel is there.
We'll see. I think she will.
She will be.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, she mentioned Grace Bedell, and that's where we stopped for the moment in our story about you coming to Westfield.
Yes.
And that was, you said, the 7th stop or somewhere
The
along.
seventh stop where I actually
Stop the train.
kind of made a little speech.
Now, my understanding is you were concerned about security, and you had something called a pilot train?
Yes.
What was that about?
Yes, it was a train that left just before our train, the special, and it would kind of like clear the tracks and make sure the
Cows, barricades,
the
bad
cows
guys.
and some bad guys, because I received many threats.
Wow.
Plus, at every major crossing, there was armed guards all along 1,900 square mile route.
Well, Mrs. Lincoln, that must have just made your day, wondering if your husband was going to make it to the city of Washington. Okay, so you get to Westfield.
I get to Westfield, and I get to the back of the caboose, and I'm looking for this young lady, Grace Bedell. And somebody had her, picked her up, brought her up to me, and I thanked her for the letter. She wanted to give me flowers, but I
Right.
think she's still holding them
Right, there's
in,
right,
right
there in the middle of Westfield. Yeah,
right,
you can see her.
right downtown. So
You know, we talked a little bit earlier that when you left Springfield in that day, February 11th, 1861, you gave a little talk. Can you speak about that a little bit?
I
think
did.
that's a famous address that you made.
Well, to me, it was unplanned, unscheduled. I had planned on not speaking at all, because if you speak of one town and not the rest that you stop, they're going to feel slighted. So, yeah, I kind of thought off the cuff, and I did write it down. Would you like to hear it?
I would.
All right. My friends, no one not in my situation can appreciate my feeling of sadness at this parting. To this place and the kindness of these people, I owe everything. Here I have lived a quarter of a century and have passed from a young to an old man. Here my children have been born and one is buried. I now leave, not knowing when or whether ever I may return. With a task before me greater than which rested upon Washington. Without the assistance of the divine being, whoever attended him, I cannot fail. Trusting in him, who can go with me and remain with you and be everywhere for good, let us confidently hope that all will be yet be well. To his care I commend you, and I hope in your prayers you will commend me. I bid you an affectionate farewell.
Wow.
So it was kind of a very sad time, very emotional time. And then I get back into the car, and I traveled with Ward Hill Lamont and my secretary, Nikolai and Hay, and we talked about it, and they said, well, Mr. President, I think we should write that down. So they did. And one good thing about the train ride in, even though I had to switch many, many trains, it was kind of like a communication center. I could receive telegrams from that, and I could deliver them and get newspapers as I went along. So it went out, and everybody was able to see the address.
So, as far as the total length of the trip was 1,900 miles, but how many days was that?
13 days.
13 days. Wow.
And there's an excellent book written about it. It's called 13 Days to Washington. Ted Widmer is the author.
Okay.
Came out a couple years ago.
So, you went on to Washington, and a lot of us know the rest of the history. I have some photos that were taken by photographers a long time ago, and I thought maybe we would just kind of have a little collage here since we have about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
And we're going to show them on this picture box here. And I found these of you and Mrs. Lincoln, and I don't know if you wanted to comment on these or not, but it looks like, you know, on your trip that you were stopping and seeing people everywhere, and you continue to do that. So it looks like, the picture where you and Mrs. Lincoln are, is that at a particular
That was at a
festival?
parade.
A parade.
A parade in a state where the people are called Michiganders.
Michiganders.
And I kind of gave them that name as an insult, but they took it and liked it.
Now, I understand General Custer was from Michigan and his Wolverines. Is that true?
Well, his wife was from there.
Oh, that's where's the
I
connection.
believe Custer was Ohio.
Okay, so he was
But
attached
he
to
went,
Michigan.
you go where
That's right.
the boss is, and the boss
Right.
lived in Monroe, Michigan.
Oh, there you are. There. Boy,
That-
you can tell how your height difference. Holy mackerel!
Yeah, well, that was the long and the short of
short
that
of
picture. This was in Lincoln Park, Michigan.
Okay, and what was the event, Mrs. Lincoln? Just an appearance? Just say hello to people?
Another parade?
Was a parade.
Yeah, Memorial Day
That
parade.
was a memorial to the veterans at that point.
And you,
We were
how many
walking.
dresses do you have? I mean, every time I see you in a different dress.
Oh, I just love to shop.
But she lets me buy this one.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that.
It's allowed one suit, but
One suit.
I
Okay.
shop.
Very nice picture of you, Mr. Lincoln.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That was in my early suit.
Early suit. Okay. Very nice. We've got a couple more, I think. Oh, you're thinking deep there.
That was in my mood.
Your mood.
Uh,
And I understand, I was going to say something, but you seem very religious as far as in your speech, and that I know that you called on the Almighty many times in your speeches. So you
Well,
must
I never attended, but, to be close to God, you don't have to attend
Right,
church. You
right,
just have to, read the Bible, got many good quotes out of the Bible.
Okay. And there, one more time.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have about a half a minute left. I know, Mr. President, there you are. Looks like you're enjoying a drink.
That was at the Derby,
Kentucky Derby.
which started about the end of my political career.
All right, so anything you want to share, either one of you, as we finish up the show?
Go ahead. Well, this is our third trip to Westfield.
Yes, it is.
We feel very welcomed here, and I want to thank Marilyn and John
Hammer.
for being our live tour guides.
Right, concierge, all of the above.
Yeah, she's our travel entertainment coordinator.
Okay.
So,
Mrs. Lincoln, anything you'd like to share?
I just want to say thank you to everyone in
Okay.
Westfield for the kindness
All right.
And
Well,
generosity.
enjoy the rest of your time in Westfield, and I know you're going to see some of your troops out there, I believe. They're
I believe so.
camping out. And
They're thinning out, but we're going to see who's there.
all right. So that's it for today, and maybe we'll see you again sometime.
Well, absolutely.
All right. Well, safe travels to both of you, and thanks for joining me today on Chautauqua Sunrise.
Thank you, Doc.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for another show. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our visit with the Lincolns. And again, all day today over in Westfield, New York is going to be a great set of activities, and you can get your picture with the Lincolns and enjoy all the other activities that are planned. All right. We'll see you next week, and have a great weekend, and be safe. Take care now. Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay, just hang on.
Good show.
Wonderful.